the downside of protection of children from sexual abuse seems to be increasingly an unease about relationships, particularly between men and children, and sometimes between men and their own children. I meet quite a number of fathers who quietly, subtly, they say, have given up bathing and taking physical care of their girl toddlers.
I remember at the height of one of the most memorable child sexual abuse situations in Britain in the last few years, my next door neighbour told me that he was really frightened to cuddle his little girl in public. And this is shocking, that we've managed to create a situation where that kind of emotional worry exists in the minds of many men. What we have to start to do is to reassure men that they're not at risk of cultural censure and even punishment if they allow themselves to enjoy the physical aspects of their relationship with very small children.
We've swung the pendulum too far, not too far in protecting children, but too far in our fear of the bogies we're protecting them from. I'm not saying I don't think sexual abuse is as prevalent as others would suggest. I don't have that information. But I am saying that a little bit like street crime, where we are learning that people are being confined to their homes more by fear of crime than by the actuality, our societies are being very seriously affected by our fear of sexual abuse and false accusations of sexual abuse, rather than by sexual abuse itself.
O medo da violência contra as crianças também faz com que os pais mantenham os filhos sob vigilância constante, privando-os da experiência de brincar sozinhos. Depois do intervalo, o direito da criança de participar das decisões da família. O documentário Mitos da Infância e Inocência volta já.
Temos muito medo em relação à segurança das crianças, ansiosos em protegê-las do abuso sexual, do crime, do trânsito e de outros perigos. Os adultos confinam e vigiam seus filhos de maneiras que têm mudado a experiência da infância. Não é apenas nostalgia dizer que as crianças de hoje perderam a liberdade de explorar e brincar.
The kind of childhood that even I had, 40 years ago, in which, as long as we were back home at a certain point, our mother did not worry about us. Well, this kind of actual hands-on, unsupervised experience of life has really become very hard for children now.
You just have to put a shirt on, a pair of shorts, and wash your feet and go wherever you want to.
I see. Once you wash your feet, you're off, eh?
Yeah. I can't, go out the front and play on my bike or anything like that without Mum watching me. For instance, I can't go places on my own, and I can't do things without parental supervision and stuff, so I prefer to do more things on my own.
Right, if I want to go swimming, I can't because I have to wait for someone, or I have to go with my mum and she can't come with me, and things like that.
I know that they're trying to protect us because they trust us, but they don't trust the other people, that are out on the streets and that. And so that's why they're worried about us, but I still don't think it's very fair.
We have this traditional approach that childhood is a period of powerlessness, that you're not able to do things very often, even things that you're quite capable of doing, because you're still a child. So I believe the overriding issue is to say kids should have the freedom to do things that they have the capacity to do. If they're able to do them, if they've developed that maturity, then they should be able to do them without being beholden to some other adult. Now that's quite a frightening approach to many people, because we sort of have grown up in the belief that children have to be protected, they have to be kept in their place.
My word is my bond.
Yeah, junk bond.
What the hell's the matter with you? When are you going to stop acting like a child?
I am a child.
Grow up.
What age do you think you'll be grown up?
29. Well, I'm 40.
I reckon you're an adult when you're 20 because a teenager's got the teen at the end and like 19's got teen. So when you're 20, I think you're old enough to have kids and get married and stuff.
We don't have a strong consensus anymore on the dividing line between childhood and adulthood. When is a child old enough to have sex? Well, a lot of kids are having sex by the time they're 15 or 16 years old. When is a child old enough to do paid work? When is a child old enough to take full responsibility for criminal behavior? We don't have consensus on that anymore.
I mean, a 15-year-old who's left school and living independently and working, is that person a child? The United Nations definition is anybody under the age of 18. And yet if you told a 17-year-old that he was a child, he would probably say, I'm not a child, I'm a young adult. I mean, I think what we need to see is that children are human beings, and we should avoid these sort of rigid demarcations between adulthood and childhood.
Adults keep trying to build taller and taller walls between childhood and adulthood. And one of the effects of that, one of the social changes of that, has been how we think of children's participation in the processes of ordinary life and survival. Now, I'm of course not advocating that children should work. I mean, you know, obviously the conditions of Victorian child labor, and indeed in the Philippines or, you know, in places in the world where children are used as the workforce, I'm obviously not advocating that. But I think that because we have made childhood such a separate, ideal, idyllic place, we have actually done some harm to children by preventing them learning certain things.
As crianças de hoje estão aprendendo coisas que seus pais nunca sonharam. Novas tecnologias permitem que elas circulem por um mundo de informação que já se acreditou ser domínio dos adultos. Mas elas ainda precisam desenvolver habilidades sociais para navegar no mundo adulto.
We are expecting kids who reach the age of 18 suddenly to become law-abiding, democratic, socialised citizens, when actually many of them have had no practice whatsoever. We have no puberty rituals, we have no growing up rituals anymore. We don't even, for all too many kids, that first pay packet, which used to be that really important sign of adulthood, has gone.
Come on! Brad, come on, run up, run up!
We are afraid of children who have got past the cute stage and they've got to the point where they are saying, well, what about me? Or I don't actually agree with your value statement or your judgment there, and I'd like to either talk about it or challenge it, which is frightening. It's uncomfortable. And I tend to believe that we would rather like to demonise those later childhood years.
Kids today need a damn good hiding.
Teenage criminals.
Teach the little devils a lesson.
Speak when they're spoken to.
About time they tried to make something of their lives.
Sponges. Useless.
Kid!